The
Here
old
we go.
intro music is gone. This is the vibe now. Welcome to Oh Brother News. I'm Gabe,
I'm James.
and we are brothers. That's enough sad piano music. It's time to be angry. Uh, this week, we're talking about everything. The Dow drops 1,000 points in 2 days, actually 1,300 points in 2 days. Trump is opening up the national forests for logging, sidestepping endangered species protections via executive order. In Indiana, 16 and 17-year-olds can now work the same hours as adults. 14 and 15-year-olds can now work during school hours. A little more on that later. We're going to talk about the Elon Musk Starlink Ukraine mineral deals connection. We're going to talk about how the bloodbath at the FAA is even worse than you think. How the Kremlin
Owns our
could not
country.
be more pleased with all of the decisions of Donald Trump. Uh, we're gonna talk about this. God, how to describe it? This hit job, um, this great television, this sickening display of childish fuckery that Trump and Vance pulled when Zelensky was here. Um, we're going to talk about the Department of Education closing, tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. It's related to the Dow dropping off a cliff. Um, Trump lying to Congress for a few hours in a row. We've created a game. You can bet along with us. It's how are we all going to die? It's be a fun list. Lots of ways we might all die. Um, they are coming after Social Security with a new big lie. We're going to dig into that. We'll get into some of the details on the purging of 20,587 federal workers and how that's going to affect you. There is a new measles outbreak in Texas, or rather, I should say, a continuing growing measles outbreak in Texas, and RFK is recommending people use
Take
olive
vitamin
leaf,
A. Take
vitamin
vitamins.
A. Yeah, he's recommending that they fuck themselves and die, basically. um,
I was reading a big article about that. I can talk about that.
I went to a protest over the weekend. Saw both of my Congress people and my senator. I called my reps. We're going to talk about how that went. Didn't go as good as I wanted it to go, but I did see them in person, so there's that. We're going to talk about this no taxes on tips thing and how it's a fucking giant scam. Where do you want to start?
Hmm. Oh man. You decide, man. It's all bad news.
Let's just start from the bottom. I'm ready with the
No
no
tax on
taxes
tips.
on tips rant.
All right.
Yes. So
Yes, 'cause everybody thinks it sounds so great. Yay! No tax on tips. Everybody started talking about it.
yeah,
Everybody sounded like they liked it.
it sounds really great until you
No
call it
tax.
by its actual name, which is
Mhm.
no taxes on slave wages. Because
And more
that's what
slave
tip workers
wages.
are actually making.
Yep, $2.13 an hour.
In
Right?
Indiana, the minimum tipped wage is $2.13 an hour. And when you make that little, you get a
You
check that is for $0 that says this is not a check. You're just paying whatever goes to the government for, even if there's no tax, you're still paying Social Security and Medicare and state tax
and yeah,
and
37%
federal.
of people who make tips, who work on tips, don't pay federal income tax because they make so little already.
Yeah. And the thing with this is that so like it sounds great until you realize two things. Okay, so like the first one is kind of what I'm talking about. The tips are slave wages is the proper name for tips. Okay, because a lot of places it's not even just like the server getting the tip. It is um, they're having to tip out other people in the restaurant, right? They're tipping out the busboy, the bar back, the kitchen staff, etc. So say you get like $100 check, and they have to tip out 5%. If they don't leave a tip, they're just paying $5 to wait on those people. And this will continue. And the only way that this is ever going to stop is if we collectively, everyone all at once, just says, "Yeah, we're never fucking tipping again. Zero tips from now on. That's it. Pay your people enough for them to live, or close your business because no one's going to work for you for free." Like that's basically what's happening. Um, the second reason that no taxes on tips is super not great is because what they're going to do, and I guarantee you this is what they're going to do, and this is why Trump is pitching it in the first place, is that instead of giving the CEO a stock bonus that is the majority of their compensation, they're going to start giving these guys $38 million tips, and then they're
See,
not going to pay taxes on it. That's going to be the majority of their compensation, and they're not going to pay taxes on it. That's exactly the plan.
well, I see other things on there, like in like Connecticut. There's a lot of places they're all talking about it, and a lot of places do have bills that says they limit the damage of it. Right? Like saying, okay, people who earn over $100,000 annually would have to pay taxes on it at income, right? But the
Mhm.
real part they want to do, I think, is another thing: the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit. That is dependent, like people who make tips. Like, so if somebody makes $18,000, right, they get a full $4,200 earned income tax credit, right?
Mhm.
But if that income is from, like, say, 2/3 of tips, and now $12,000 of that $18,000 is no longer taxable, then their earned income tax credit would drop by $2,000. So in other words, you're literally taxing the poor by taking away their no tax on tips status.
Oh,
You take it out of taxable income, which means they lose all their earned income tax credits. They lose all their child tax credits, and now they just are, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 poorer at the end because
shit.
they didn't make enough in tips anyway to pay federal tax. But now you have their less, you know, taxable income.
You'll own nothing and love it, slaves.
Yep, exactly. And that's, I think,
Jesus.
is the bigger thing. That's a way to really screw out a lot of people in the earned income tax credit. That will,
Wow.
they call it no tax on tips, but what they're really doing is giving a massive tax increase on the poorest people.
So let's use this as a lead in to jump over to another way that they're taxing, that they're just screwing over poor people, and that is they are coming for Social Security.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? The other thing I forgot to put on here that actually that we're gonna get
Oh
into a
yeah,
little
that
bit is
whole
they're coming
per.
after the post office also.
Yeah, they've been doing that. Of course. I mean, hey, if you have one part of the federal government that is completely self sufficient, better get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. It has a 91% approval rate. It's like
Yep.
20% the cost of, the competitors. Like I was sent in a Christmas present, uh, and like the Christmas present itself
Yeah.
was like $30. And the shipping to send it, like we wrapped it ourselves and put it in a box and then shipped it. The shipping to send it was $25. And that was only because I was like, they were like, oh, we have to put it in this giant, ridiculous box that costs $10. And it was going to be like $40. I'm like, why the fuck would I spend $40 to ship a $30 present? Like, this is ridiculous.
Mhm.
Because
Well,
I
yeah, the
went to
post.
UPS. But
Yeah,
then I get home and my wife is like, oh, if you had gone to the
post office.
post
Yeah,
office like
exactly.
I thought you were going to do, it would have been like $7,
If that. Yeah, our post
if
office. I
that.
love the post office, man. You take it there. I'll bring stuff in there, and I'm like, I have no idea what I can put this in a box, and they'll be like, oh, let me see. Let's see. We can do this. We can just actually no, hold on. I might have some stuff here, like some extra bubble wrap or something laying around, from scratch from something else. And she'll like, hey, we can do this, and here goes, and then yeah, $5. Here you go. I love the post office.
I
You
mean, the
never
ones
get
in
that.
Chicago are not like that. The ones
Maybe
in
not,
Chicago are,
but
it's
you
not
will
a great
never find a
experience, but
UPS or a FedEx like that anywhere because yeah, no, they're all about the money. You know.
yeah, no, yeah. I mean, they'll help you. They'll be really helpful, but you're gonna pay like four times the price
Yeah.
for that help. But okay, Social Security. So we all remember the big lie of I didn't lose the election, right? And now we have the like, I don't know, I guess we call it the small lie of I won by a landslide. Actually, you won by a margin less than Hillary Clinton beat you by, less than Joe Biden beat you by, you know, less than Obama won by. It's not that you actually won by a very thin margin. You just won all the swing states. Um, and just to every episode of someone's first episode, to quote our older episode, a big part of that was a massive voter suppression effort
Yeah,
uh,
that worked.
that that
That worked.
that kept 2.5 to 4 million uh, people from voting, specifically in swing states targeted at black people and
Hmm.
uh, people on the Democrats, registered Democrats. So um, he squeaked out he eked out a squeaker, you know, pulling out all the stops. Not a mandate. That's a small lie. The big lie is fraud. And
Yeah.
the idea that like Social Security is just riddled with fraud. That's what we're gonna take it away. And it's just wild to me that like people are cheering this on because like if anyone who knows someone who was getting Social Security and then they died, the checks don't keep coming.
No,
But they're pulling out all of this stuff. They're like it's like this weaponized ignorance. So like the Social Security database, for whatever reason, probably because it's really old,
because
is
cobalt.
written
It's
in the
cobalt.
language COBOL. In the language COBOL, this is a common thing in programming languages, where if they have no date for their date, they'll default to some old date. So
Yep.
in COBOL, when you default to the date, it puts in like a super old date. I know in like Unix, it was like 1/1 1980 or 1/1
Yeah, it's 18.
1970.
It's May 20th, 1875
May 20th, 1875.
for
So
cobalt.
if you
Not
have
cobalt.
no date
COBOL.
information, it defaults to that. And so that's why there's like millions of people on Social Security who are 300 years old or 200 years old. It's because they just don't have their date. Like they don't have their actual age. Like they don't have their birth date. So it's like it's an issue. And like they know this. Like there's no way that like Elon Musk and his tech genius dipshit kids, like they know this. They're just weaponizing the ignorance of America so that they can call it fraud, so that they can gut it and kill it and privatize it. And instead of giving you like $1,200 a month for like 30 years, they're going to give you a $5,000 check one time, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, yay, money from Trump." Even
Yeah.
as like, and it's the same shit they're doing with all the other government agencies, where those things actually provide you a whole lot of value, and they're just gutting them and giving you this like tiny little amount. Maybe like they're talking about it. Who knows if they're actually going to do it, because they talk about shit all the time. They don't actually do it. But they're talking about giving you this like bullshit amount of money as they're taking away something that benefits you for like way, way, way more money. Like the Consumer Financial Protection Board
Yeah.
like had 770 million, but it's returned
It's
billions to
billions
people.
each year. Each
Yeah,
year,
billions every
billions.
year. And they took like, oh well, we got 770 million. We're gonna give everyone what, like a fucking $2 check? Are you shitting me?
Yeah. A one-time
It's
$2 check rather than billions and billions of savings every single year from everything. Yeah. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all just a bunch of bullshit. It's all saying no tax, no tax, no tax on tips. It's Donald Trump at that address bringing up some, kid who beat cancer while slashing all of the cancer research money and gutting all the cancer research money from all the other kids.
yep.
That's what it is. It's
Oh, and they're closing OSHA, by the way. They're closing OSHA. So if you don't know, if you've never worked in like a factory or somewhere that does like labor kind of a job, OSHA is the government agency that manages workplace safety standards and regulation violations. So like if your workplace doesn't require hard hats and something drops on your head, and the regulation was like, yeah, you're supposed to have helmets, you can sue them. If your workplace doesn't follow all the appropriate safety standards and have their equipment up to date and do things in the way that's specified, and you get hurt, you can sue them. And like they're getting rid of OSHA so that you're not gonna be able to sue them. They're not gonna have any way of enforcing these safety standards. So we're not gonna have safety standards. You're just gonna get broken. And
yeah.
you're not going to have Medicare or Medicaid because they're coming for those. So just go fuck yourself, I guess. Just go die in a hole, poor person. Like that's all we want from you anyway. What they'll probably do is they'll start a war. They'll probably start a war with like one of our allies and be like, "Oh, you broke your legs. Well, we'll pay you to go be in the military. Go walk in front of some fucking bullets." I mean, we are following after Russia's example on everything nowadays. So
Yeah. We're Yeah, there's a article in Tennessee Lookout, because they were
Mhm.
talking about that, like, oh, hey, wait a second, what's going on here? All the IRS, OSHA offices, their Social Security offices, they're all getting closed down because Doge is saying they don't need their offices. They're in remote areas. These are small sites, or they're co-located within other federal spaces. So it's wasteful to have a room for OSHA because there's already a federal building there. They don't need their own office. They're closing them there. So
It's
Tennessee, they have,
hateful that they're
yeah,
using the same space. Oh my
yeah.
god.
I mean, go figure, right? So they're like, oh, they're being consolidated into other nearby locations. We're just closing down all the Social Security offices and OSHA offices and the IRS offices, and yeah, they say they're doing it to save annual lease payments, like in Nashville. Closing the Nashville Social Security office will, and this is from the Tennessee Lookout.com, Tennessee Lookout. Because last week, the Social Security Administration announced it's reducing its number of regional offices. Closing the Nashville Social Security office will save the government $712,000 annually in lease payments, according to the Doge website. Yeah, it says a dozen other federal offices are also targeted for lease terminations there in Tennessee. A whole bunch of them, but they're doing it everywhere. It's just little places where you can see where local papers. They're just like, oh well, they're closing this. They're closing this. It's happening everywhere, people. You know.
And like
Mm.
all of these are, it's the same thing where they're like, oh, we're gonna save every taxpayer 50 cents a year, and we're just not gonna have air traffic controllers and national park rangers,
By the way,
or like, God,
before we move on from OSHA, just last thing, the
yeah.
person Donald Trump put up to run OSHA is a guy named David Keeling, Keeling. He was the former director of global road and transportation at Amazon.
Oh, well, that's exactly how you.
And he's vice president of global health and safety at UPS. You know,
I'm amazed they didn't put him in charge of the post office.
yeah. Anyway.
God, there's a like this kind of related. So there's this book. Um, it's like on my like I don't know. I want to read it soon, like short list. It's called Poverty by America. It's by Matthew Desmond. I think it came out pretty recently because no, actually, I'm totally wrong. I'm looking at have it pulled up and I only just heard of it recently. Actually, it came out March 21st, 2023, so it's not recent. I just started seeing it, so I thought it was recent. But I saw a snippet of an interview he did, I think, on the Daily Show, where he's talking about how, excuse me, I just had a cough. Where he's talking about how if we like the amount of people who are under the poverty line in America, you could bring everybody up with $177 billion a year. So it's imminently doable. And if you just taxed um, all of the millionaires and billionaires at the rate at which they are already supposed to be taxed, if they just paid the tax that they already owe under the current tax code, okay, we don't raise taxes. We just get everyone to pay what they owe. It would cover raising everyone out of poverty in America and an extra $100 billion a year without even raising taxes. Like it's wild to think that like that's how much money we're leaving on the table, and like that goes back to like the IRS, which is, they're gutting the IRS, which we know every dollar you spend on the IRS returns you $73.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm breaking up a lot.
Oh, sorry,
Unfortunately.
you are.
No, I'm reading. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going back up. It went down for a while under Biden. Went down a lot actually under Biden, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it explodes next few years.
So talking about stuff under Biden, why don't you talk about the stock market?
Oh, the stock market? You mean like the best? You know. Oh
The
God.
best
But
indication of how the rich people and the businesses are doing.
stock market was great under Biden. Stock market under Biden. By the way, and there, oh, let's see. Let me hold on one second here. I didn't know you were ready to just go right to the stock market. Where's that nice Dow Jones? All right, let's see. Where is it? Dow Jones, I guess.
Yeah.
So average.
So
Biden.
I know from a picture, like, well, I'll give you some time to get to pull up some facts. I know from a picture doing the rounds that at some point in the past, let me see if it's got a date on it actually. At some point in the past, which was yes, November 6th, 2012, Donald J. Trump, at real Donald Trump on Twitter says, if the Dow drops 1,000 points in 2 days, the president should be impeached immediately. Today, or this is a couple days ago now, but like now, the Dow tumbles again, loses more than 1,300 points in 2 days as Trump ignites trade war. Live updates. This is.
There's so many different numbers you can look at here. But
It seems like he's just trying to destroy the country,
it's like the
almost as
SP,
if he were, I don't know,
a
like
Russian
a
puppet.
Russian puppet, maybe, for example.
I think he is. Oh, here we go. Macrotrends.net. Here we go. Stock market performance by president. Oh, that is great. Here we go. This is a great website. Let's see. What did it go up? Let's see. Where's it at? Term length. All right. So at how's this? How's this working? I wish you could see my screen right now.
Well, use your voice and read me through your screen.
It's a interactive chart. It's an interactive chart shows a running percentage gain in the Dow Jones Industrial Average by presidential term. Each series begins with the closing value of the month of inauguration and runs through the closing value of the next month of the term. As the y-axis shows a total percentage increase or decrease in the Dow Jones, and the x-axis, shows the term length in months. And when you go through here, it doesn't make any sense though because okay, wait, this doesn't make any sense because Donald Trump, whatever. Fuck. Sorry. This
No,
is
dude, we can edit this out. Take your time.
here. You know what? I'm
Or
gonna
actually,
send you.
send me the link. Yeah, and
I'm gonna send you the
I can
link
look at
right
it with you.
now because it doesn't make any sense and it makes it look like you can see the green where it drops down. Like you can see where Biden, like at Trump at one point, the Dow Jones. I mean, it's just a percentage change,
Let me
not
put in.
necessarily an increase or decrease. Okay.
Uh,
Anyway, like Trump, and Biden, right? During the same period, 36 months into their presidency,
mhm.
Biden's Dow Jones was up 27% and Trump's was up 42%. But then Biden's, at 38 months in, he was up 32.8% from when he started. Trump's had a big hit, and now he only had a 10% increase from when he came into office.
Oh yeah, I see. This is really cool. Yeah, so like it shows.
But
Yeah, so the x-axis is time in months. The
yeah,
y-axis is a percentage of gain in the Dow.
yeah,
And you can see, so you can toggle people on and off. So you can have like
yeah,
Ronald Reagan. So, but like right now, it's got in the link you sent, or like the way you sent in the link at least, it's, and
yeah,
again, I'll include this in the show notes, but it's got Donald Trump's second term, Donald Trump's first term, and Joe Biden's term
yeah,
all at once.
yeah.
So like you can
Biden
see
had a
here.
49% increase, from when he started to when he left in 4 years. Boom, had a 49% increase in the stock market.
Well, so just right now, right? So at this point, at like 2 months in
Oh
on
yeah,
Biden's presidency, it was up 10%.
10%. Yeah,
At this
Trump was
point
only up
in
12%.
Trump's first presidency, it was up 4%. And
Yep.
at this point in Trump's
3
current
months.
presidency, his second one, it's down 4.5%.
Yeah.
So he's only 14.5% below Biden in the first 2 months. If you
Yeah.
keep going, it's going to get even worse because then like you're going to have to compare Trump to Biden. So the place where you're going to get like a real inflection point is if you get to, I don't know, it looks like it's around like 9 or 10 months. That's where they kind of flip, right? And Biden starts
Yeah.
to dip and Trump's goes up. So like,
But then it goes the other way though too. And then Biden
yeah. So those are
skyrocketed
like,
up after 22 months in. Biden's really took off, and Trump's hit a little peak, and then boom, plummeted. COVID, and then
yeah,
he lost the election, The stock market started to rebound, but and that's where Biden came in. So it's a little bit hard when you have it a side like right on top of each other during the same thing because you figure it's one before the other.
yeah.
But yeah, it's still pretty interesting though, looking at it.
Yeah, that's really cool. We'll definitely send this, and you can compare with like all these other presidents, like all the way back to like Harding and Calvin Coolidge and everything. So
Hey, it was really good. Is compared Donald Trump to Barack Obama. Never even came close to Barack Obama. Never even came close. Barack Obama dusted him every single way.
wow, yeah, Jesus.
And let's see Bill Clinton. Holy crap! Look at Bill Clinton. No wonder people were so happy in the '90s.
Wow.
Yeah,
Bill Clinton is like the chart like has to become larger because Bill Clinton went up
I know. It's better than
225%.
Reagan.
Obama went up 147%.
Yeah. When people talk about Reagan, like, oh, Reagan did everything. Look at Reagan compared to Clinton. Look at everybody. Look at anybody. Only Jesus.
Nobody's even close.
Franklin Roosevelt. Franklin Roosevelt was doing the damn thing. But that was about
So the guy
it.
who they had to invent term limits to stop because he
Exactly.
was so
Exactly. It's
wildly
like
popular.
Franklin Roosevelt, Bill Clinton, man.
No
Barack
wonder they were just
Obama.
like, find anything. He's too popular. You remember Bill Clinton got the deficit down to zero.
I know. They
We,
had a
we paid
surplus. They had a
we
they
paid
had a
all our
balanced
debt and
budget.
had extra money to just,
Pay down
I
debt.
don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man, it's almost
Yeah.
like the
Most of the Democrats are better at the economy. Hmm.
it's almost like the Democrats are
Interesting.
the fiscal conservatives.
Yeah.
Imagine.
But it's a cool map though. Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, it's basically like, he announced that he's doing tariffs, and then the stock market jumped off a cliff. Tesla in particular is doing really bad. And I saw this really interesting
Oh
video.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
Tesla's. Oh yeah. Yeah. You go. You sent me the
I,
video. I
I,
watched it.
yeah, I sent it to you. Yeah, so like,
In
it was a
SpaceX.
video about like how, like, it's kind of had two things that are related, right? So one is like, if you want to know how we're gonna hurt Elon Musk, this is the answer. And the answer is like, well, Elon Musk is actually like not doing great in terms of his finances. So like
He wasn't.
Elon Musk had, well, okay, so he wasn't, then he was, and who it's kind of trending back towards not great. So like take one of his companies. So take SpaceX, okay, which is privately owned. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have like value, it just means you can't buy the stock. So you have to be like a big investor to privately invest in SpaceX, okay? But SpaceX has there's a way that they value companies, and it's basically like what is the multiplier of your annual profits, right? So like the amount the company is worth is some multiplier of that. So SpaceX does the rockets, and it does Starlink, and SpaceX is valued at 350 billion, and they make 10 billion a year, but then they just lost contracts equaling 7 billion a year. So they lost 70% of their revenue. So what do you think that's going to do to the value? I don't think it's going to make it go up, right? So then Starlink starts pushing for these deals. Starlink starts pushing to like make a telecom deal and provide Wi-Fi to everyone with T-Mobile. That's like a coming soon thing. Starlink then goes and is like, oh, well, we need some short-term cash too, so we're going to make a deal. We're going to edge out Verizon because now we're in control of the government. We're going to edge out Verizon so that they're not going to rebuild the FAA stuff. We're going to do it all with Starlink starting fucking yesterday because I need the cash.
Don't worry though.
Then you move over to like
He will not do anything if it's a conflict of interest. He promised.
my ass.
Okay.
Yeah, like you know what the prisoners promise to like never leave the prison if the guards all just look the other way. They what could go wrong? Like the inmates run the prison. Um, yeah, but like then you move over to Tesla, okay? And you look at Tesla. Tesla's sales in Europe are like eating shit,
Yeah,
right? I can't remember which country it was, but like some country was like, yeah, 100% tariff on Teslas because they
Canada's doing
realized that
that.
Elon Musk is the president and he's
Canada,
fucking everyone over.
Canada's doing that too.
Yeah. But like sales are down. Sales are down in the US. Sales are down in Europe by like 70%. Sales are down in the US by like 40%.
Go figure. It's almost as if people who cared about the environment were the ones who used to like to buy Teslas, and now the only people buying Teslas are MAGA fans who are real crazies.
And crypto bros.
Crypto
Which
bros.
oh god, we're gonna get to the let me just put that on the list too because we're gonna get
We
into
don't
the
got time for
crypto
everything, man.
sh.
We can talk about something next week too.
Oh man.
but but yeah, I mean Tesla, yeah, pissing off people, pissing off his top investor, pulls out $7 billion, and so lo and behold, oh yeah, we got to get rid of this deal that Verizon made a couple of years ago with the U.S. government, in coordination with everything else, because I need money.
Because like he
I
doesn't
need
really
money.
have cash. His he basically takes loans against the value of his stock. So if the value of his stock goes down, then he has to sell some of it to pay off his loans and then take new loans at a lower value. So he needs his stock to keep going up so he can keep doing stuff. Like, and he's really leveraged into Twitter also, which is losing valuation. Like basically immediately after he bought it, it was worth like half what he paid for it. Like actually before it was like when he was like going to buy it, they were like actually it's worth half what you offered us, but he had already offered it in writing, so we had to pay it anyway. But yeah, and
Yeah.
then like it immediately started losing revenue and like losing sponsors. So like his companies are actually not doing great. And then like the FAA is investigating uh, Starlink for shit that they were doing. uh, the OSHA violations in the auto industry, even though Tesla has 6% of the workforce of the total auto industry, they had 70% of the OSHA violations. I wonder why OSHA's gone, right? So then, like, we can like kind of lead into our next uh, segue here. Like, the other thing is like, what do the Teslas use? Well, they use lithium ion batteries. And how do you make lithium ion? Well, you need lithium, don't you? And who has a lot of lithium? Well, wouldn't you know that Ukraine has a lot of lithium? And Donald Trump slash President Musk just started being like, you know what? What if we made a minerals deal where for all the help we already gave Ukraine, never mind the fact that like the reason we gave them that help is because was in exchange for the 1900 nukes that they gave up in 1994. Uh, what if instead of that we said, oh, just for the help we've already given you, no new help, no security guarantees. We'll get 50% of all of the mineral wealth of your country for all of time. Cool deal? Are you cool with that? And they invite Zelensky over and they're like, hey, what if we fucking raped you? Is that cool? Like, we'll rape you. You smile, we'll rape you, and then we'll send you out there to get fucked by Russia. Sound good? You cool with that deal?
Yeah. Man. So yeah, and yeah, so we cut off Ukraine. Or we didn't. Trump did illegally. Again, it needs to always be reminded, everybody. It is illegal for the president to just stop dispersing money that Congress has appropriated. Again, it's illegal, but he said he'll revisit it. He'll think about it if they sign the mineral deal. It's kind of like Russia saying that they will think about a ceasefire. They might talk about a ceasefire if Ukraine just unilaterally gives up everything that Russia wants.
That's the thing with this deal. They're like, oh, what's Russia going to give up? What concessions will Russia make? And they're like, well, I'm a Russian puppet, so nothing. They're just like, what if Russia just like, I don't know, owned the United States instead of giving something up? How about that?
You know, But no, we're not asking anything of Russia. We're just asking Ukraine to give up, their resources and give up your resources. Give up, you know, your land. Give up everything you want, and maybe we will talk Russia into stopping for a few years, maybe a year or two, to rearm.
Oh my
Uh,
God. Okay, hold on. Let me pause the stream here. All right, and we're on the other side of the pause now.
There was a
Just
technical
making that
difficulty
out.
with microphone. It has been resolved. So, yeah. Yeah, so Trump and Trump and JD Vance bring Zelensky in, expecting him to, basically fuck his own country over and give away hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions, about $500 billion, of their resources in exchange for nothing. In exchange, it's a tip, as a tip, you know. he wanted him to give away everything to tip the U.S. government for the $100 billion that we've given them. You've given me $100 billion and needed weapons. Well, as a tip, I guess I will have to give you the next $500 billion of resources for my country. And and you're not going to give anything further to me. This is just to pay you back for the sputtering help. Okay, so Zelensky.
You're cutting in and out occasionally.
Oh, seriously. Okay, so Zelensky was not happy with that, quote, deal. That wasn't a deal. And so then Trump and Vance decided to sit there and lie and assholes and a lot of Russian talking points and act like Zelensky doesn't want peace, even though Ukraine is the only one putting forth peace plans. Russia is the one that would end and has no interest in peace and has said so publicly. Trump couldn't be.
Yeah, like if Ukraine stops fighting, there stops being a Ukraine. If Russia stops fighting, the war stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And like they started like at first I watched like the last 20 minutes of it, which contextualizes enough like what a hit job it is that like JD Vance instigates and Trump piles on. But if you watch the full like hour, they were just sitting there like taking fucking like petty pot shots at him the whole time and just like talking shit to reporters. And then like, somebody from like this is a room with like the president, the vice president,
Mm-hmm.
and the secretary of state. And uh the leader of another country that is at war with Russia. If ever there was a room to secure, this would be it. And they let into the room a member of
Russia's
Russian
task.
state media.
Yeah.
Yeah, TASS media. And when they talk about it, they're like, oh, that was an accident. When we noticed, then we got him out of there right away. Like, good thing he wasn't a fucking assassin.
It wasn't an accident. I mean,
Yeah, no, of course not. Of
no,
course not.
no.
But like they're giving him shit like from the beginning. They were like, "Oh, why aren't you wearing a suit?" And like this fucking smarmy bitch
Mm-hmm.
in like a fucking blue suit sitting off to the side of Trump, grinning like a fat piece of shit, is just like, "Oh, why don't you wear a suit?"
And everybody
And
step
he's
back and
like,
think about this for a second too, because everybody remember he did wear a suit when he was president of Ukraine. He always, I mean, he's still president of Ukraine, but before the war started, he was always wearing a suit. He was looking like any other.
James, you're so cutting out that like it's half of every word comes in.
I mean, we're going to need to pause because I can't.
All right. All right. After the second set of technical issues, we're back again, like a bad habit.
Sorry about that,
Yeah,
fan in South
sorry,
Carolina.
fan. I think we have like 8 or 9 subscribers now. Yeah.
Seriously? Wow.
It's me and you are at least 2 of them.
Start somewhere. I am
Oh,
not
you're not. Oh,
subscribed.
well, okay. So that's at least like 7 people who are not me.
I do not want to hear my voice.
Oh, I just wanted to I just subscribed so that the
Oh.
network go. Okay, let's get back to Russia. So yeah, so
Yes.
there's a series of like of shitty little comments, from the time that they first get in. It's just like a small petty things, like why aren't you wearing a suit? And like, for reference, the reason he's not wearing a suit is because he's at war. If you look back at 2019 when he
Who wears wearing a
huh?
suit? Yes. Yeah, he was always
Well, no,
wearing a
like in
suit.
2019,
He was always
there's a
wearing a suit. He
picture.
was president. He
There's
was
a
wearing a
picture of
suit.
him with Merkel and
Yeah.
Macron and
He looks
Putin,
so much.
where he's signing the ceasefire
Mhm.
after Putin invaded in 2019.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a fucking suit then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When he stopped wearing a suit, when they left their government building, and for weeks he was living in a
And they were
bunker
trying to
out in the
assassinate
woods.
him.
They would give him. Yes. And you know what? It wouldn't be a very good look, to be going out there and, Brooks Brothers suits and looking like best suits, and look how much money I look really good right now, when your people are at war, people are getting drafted, they're going out there, it's like, you know what, I'm in this with you. He was out,
And I think it also helps when they like
yeah,
you have
it's
a body
fun.
double, and blend in with the other people.
Maybe.
But also like Winston Churchill visited the United States during World War II. You know what he didn't wear? A fucking suit.
Yep.
Okay, so
You know what Elon Musk didn't wear when he's in the Oval Office with his kid cussing out Trump?
he wore a
Didn't
black
wear a
ball
suit.
cap and a t-shirt and a coat. Tech support t-shirt.
Yeah.
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 You know what Trump has never worn in his entire fucking adult life? A tie that fits. But I digress.
Yeah. He's probably been wearing diapers for quite a while.
So there's this litany of petty bullshit. Every time like the woman from CNN asks a question, they're like, "Oh, we don't like you. Your network's pathetic. We're not going to answer your question." And their questions are like, "Oh, so when was the last time you talked to Putin?" And he's like, "Oh, just 2 days ago." Well, the White House didn't announce that Trump had talked to Putin 2 days ago, and they always announce whenever they talk to foreign leaders. They didn't announce it. Huh. Then they're like, "Oh, well, what did he say in that conversation?" He's like, "Oh, he did say, well, change the topic." What is it that Putin said that makes you feel like you can trust him? And then like Zelensky like makes a point. So like JD Vance comes in there and he's just like, well, it's time for diplomacy. Like we tried war under Biden and it was bullshit. Now we got to do diplomacy. And he's like, what diplomacy are you talking about? Because we had an agreement in 2019. Macron and Merkel and me sat across the table from Putin, and all three of them assured me Russia would never come into Ukraine ever again. Yeah, we signed the agreement. Oh, and they didn't. And like just to run you through Russia, okay? Russia.
Like pointing out that I'm a
1939, Russia invades Poland. 1939, Russia invades Finland. 1940, Russia invades Estonia. 1940, Russia invades Lithuania. 1956, Russia invades Hungary. 1968, Russia invades Czechoslovakia. 1979, Russia invades Afghanistan. 1994, Russia invades Chechnya. 1999, Russia invades Chechnya again. Huh. 2008, Russia invades Georgia. 2014, Russia invades Crimea, which is fucking Ukraine. 2015, Russia invades Syria. 2022, Russia invades Ukraine. Fucking imagine. Donald Trump, Zelensky shouldn't have started the war with Russia. Are you fucking kidding me? It's like right after Donald Trump rapes a child with Jeffrey Epstein, he looks at the little girl and he says, you probably shouldn't have been here if you didn't want to get raped. It is so fucking insulting. It is so fucking disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and what they're not talking about, what they're not doing, they're not saying, "Hey, Russia, you need to get back the tens of thousands of Ukrainian children that you kidnapped."
That's the other thing he said. Yeah.
Hey, Russia, you need to give back the tens of thousands of Ukrainian children you've kidnapped. You need to give back these people. Well, none of that. No. Trump actually says, Russia's fought very hard for those gains. They fought really hard for that
They
land.
threw a lot of bodies at those
They've lost a lot of
bullets.
people. Yeah, they really worked hard to flatten completely, turn it into like a moonscape. All that land, they worked really hard to do that. So, we got to live with the reality of the situation. Which actually, the reality of the situation is, if we kept giving Ukraine weapons, Ukraine has been really turning in the last couple months. With a lot less people, and then yeah, I wonder what kind of information we're giving to Russia too. I mean, Donald Trump has a history of giving classified information to the Russians, and I'm not even talking about, Mueller investigation, all that stuff. I'm talking about when he was president the first time, and he went in there and he had Sergei Lavrov and
Oh
what's the other
yeah,
fucker's name? That the fat guy, the big
yeah.
fat guy, and Sergei Kislyak and Sergei Lavrov were in the Oval Office, and he had everybody leave. And turns out he gave up, classified information from Israel, to the Russians, And I wonder what information we're giving to Russia, because Ukraine's really been doing good the last couple months, pushing them back, pushing out Prokos, and then like he's announcing, well, you have a real problem with your recruitment. You're having a real problem with getting your troops here, and then suddenly, right after that, Russia changed tactics. Instead, I mean, they're still bombing civilians and churches and hospitals and grocery stores, legitimate military targets, hospitals and schools.
School
But they
stadiums.
also did something else different. They started using their hypersonic missiles, right, their ballistic missiles, and going after training facilities of Ukraine way deep beyond the front lines, which they hadn't done.
Sorry, say
Somebody
that
was
again
giving them that
more
information.
slowly.
They used the chemical hypersonic missiles,
Yeah, okay.
and they
We
started
gotta
training sites.
disconnect again and reconnect. I'm pausing it. Okay.
Yeah. So what I was
You,
saying,
prior to some technical difficulties, you were talking about
yeah, how
Russia.
Ukraine.
Just give me Russia from the top.
I was saying,
Russia doing to Ukraine?
well, they've been getting pushed back for the last like month or two straight. They've been losing ground in Ukraine. You know, um, and while they've still been doing their normal bombing of hospitals and schools, one thing they recently started doing after the Oval Office meeting with Zelensky and JD Vance and Trump, and this is one of those, what again, information that's been speculated about, but no one actually said it in an official capacity about Ukraine having a real hard time with its recruitments and troops, right? And after he said that in the Oval Office, you guys have a problem with your recruits. You guys are, having problems with people.
Hmm.
Russia changed tactics, and they started sending their ballistic missiles, their hypersonic, missiles, deep into Ukraine and going after training sites where they were getting fresh conscripts.
Mm.
They hadn't done that. They hadn't been doing that, and somebody had to give them the intel. I mean, it's very possible that somebody inside of Ukraine's military. There's been a couple of instances where it's been really fishy how Russia was able to know where some things were, right?
There were some instances
But yeah,
of like citizens like telling Russia and then like trying
sure,
to escape the country or whatever and like getting arrested. Like there was
sure.
a lot of people are like
Sure, but
turncoating and
I'm
working
talking
for
about
Russia.
military stuff. I'm talking about like when there was like arms deliveries, right? And they have these
Hmm.
trains that go, and trains are actually, you would think about it, you would think trains are easy to hit. They're not, because there's a lot of different stations, there's different routes, there's it's not all, you know, it's not on a necessarily a set schedule when you're getting
It's not
you know
just like
influx of
on
equipment,
a predictable
Yeah,
track that
and
doesn't move.
there was a couple times like in the last year where during like a 15-minute window when a train went there and stopped and they were shifting stuff like that, boom, they got hit, which was
Mm,
like, that's interesting. How the hell would Russia have known?
hmm.
So like that, things like that, or things like this makes me think, I wonder, which makes me think about worst case scenario. Like, are they actually going to feed Russia intel? I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past these guys. They're Russian puppets, man.
Well, they wouldn't have to because Pete Hegseth Secretary of Defense has stood down U.S. Cyber Command. We're not monitoring for Russian attacks. We're not retaliating against Russian attacks. We're not proactively trying to stop Russian attacks. And we're certainly not planning or executing any counterattacks.
Yeah.
So if Russia wants to hack whatever, they can.
I don't think they have to. I don't think they have to hack anything with
I don't
the
think they have to either. That's
people
why fucking Tulsi Gabbard is there, so she can just hand it off to them.
and Trump. I mean, and Trump will hand it off. I mean, God. Yeah. So anyway,
No puppet, no puppet. You're a puppet.
yeah. No puppet, no puppet.
That's a quote. That's Trump. That's a Trump quote from the debate with Hillary Clinton, where she said,
Yeah.
"You're going to be Russia's puppet. He's going to eat you for dinner." No puppet, no puppet. You're a puppet. That's like the art of the deal right there. You know, you just say some dumb shit. No puppet, no puppet. So going back to like this like Zelensky shit show. So like, yeah, Zelensky's like, yeah, JD Vance is like, oh, your country has all these problems. JD Vance is like, have you been there? Like, how many times have you been to Ukraine? Come to Ukraine, I'll show you. He's like, oh, I've seen the videos. It's all propaganda tours. Like, your country has problems. And he's like, yeah, of course my country has problems. We're at war. Like, yeah, every country has problems at war. Like, you would have problems too, but you have a big, beautiful ocean. And this is him quoting Trump, because Trump was just the other day was saying like, oh, we don't give a shit of what happens over there because we have a big, beautiful ocean separating us from Russia.
Yeah.
So then he goes on and he's like, but you will, you will feel the influence. You'll feel, and then Trump jumps in and just starts yelling at him, like, don't tell me what I'll feel. Don't tell me what I'll feel. And he's like, I'm answering his question. Like, he just asked me a question. But this whole thing was brought about because Zelensky was like, what diplomacy are you talking about? Russia doesn't do any of their agreements. And the point he was trying to make, they wouldn't let him make, was that like a ceasefire is only going to help Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Because with a ceasefire, you're going to stop the sanctions. Which, by the way, they're already stopping the sanctions.
Yeah, no.
They got rid of they fired the lawyers who were handling the sanctions. They fired the lawyers who were handling the, keeping foreign influence out of elections. Because obviously they want Russia to help. That's been the fucking thing all along.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they announced somewhere that they were getting rid of the sanctions. They're not just like doing the things. They're also like announcing like, yeah, we're going to try to get rid of these sanctions. I can't remember if that was a story or something I heard, but
that's one of the meetings they were talking about. That's what their meeting was. Their first peace negotiations over Ukraine had nothing to do with Ukraine. That's what it was when they met in Turkey. It had nothing to, or Saudi Arabia. Sorry, Saudi Arabia. Or was it Turkey or shit?
I think it was. I think it's
Saudi Arabia. Right?
Was it Saudi Arabia or was it Qatar?
It was in Saudi Arabia. Yeah,
Okay.
a couple weeks ago. All right, so it was in Riyadh. Yeah. So where Ukraine was not invited. But they said it was a talk about, peace talks, for Ukraine. But they didn't talk about peace talks between Ukraine. They talked about resuming flights between U.S. and Russia, which, by the way, all of Russia's planes are stolen planes. Because
what?
Yeah, they're stolen planes. When people were not allowed to fly there, like when Boeing or these other places and these airlines flew into Russia, and then they were grounded, and hey, we're not doing the flights. Russia took the planes. They're stolen planes. So we're gonna let Russia have these stolen planes fly back into the U.S. now.
Wow.
Talk about reopening embassies. And by the way, the whole thing, like if you caught that during the address to Congress, talk about how we're going to start selling citizenship, for $50 million a pop. You can become.
Oh, he said in the
for
he
Russian
said in Oval
oligarchs.
Office.
These sanctioned Russian oligarchs don't have to worry anymore because they can just buy their citizenship in the U.S.
He was like, I know some Russian oligarchs who have quite a lot of money, not as much as they had before, but yeah, they got plenty of money, and we'll sell them a citizenship for $5 million.
Yeah,
the gold card, to be like a really premium experience.
Or $5 million, a $5 million gold card. Yeah,
Yeah.
So I know some Russian oligarchs.
I mean, the
They're
$5
very
million
nice people.
thing
They're very
is
nice people. He says the Russian oligarchs will possibly be eligible for new gold card visas.
Yes, Donald Trump's very nice people list: Russian oligarchs,
Nazis.
Nazi protesters. Yeah, it's just what a great list to be on. Definitely no deplorables anywhere near it. Certainly not like a basket worth of deplorables per se. You know, just to like go totally off topic for a second, like that whole like basket of deplorables thing, that pissed me off so much because it's like a inclusive exclusive sets thing. Like she didn't say that like everyone who supports Trump is it a basket of deplorables. She said that everyone in the basket of deplorables, so everyone who is a fucking deplorable human being supports Trump. That's what she said. She didn't say everyone who supports Trump is awful. She
Yeah.
said all the people who are awful exclusively support Trump. I wonder why.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh my God, like that was like the most, that should have been the most telling thing because,
Mhm.
I feel like it's always pretty telling when someone can't understand an exclusive inclusive sentence. It shows you that they're a fucking moron.
Yeah. Yeah. God. So yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so like, Trump goes on, starts yelling like, "Oh, you don't have any cards. You don't have any cards." And Zelensky's like, "Mr. President, I'm not playing cards. This is about the lives of my people. No one wants a ceasefire. What's the point of doing a ceasefire without security guarantees?
Yeah.
We tried that
No, you
last
don't want
time."
peace. You don't want peace. Yeah.
And it's just like, no, like I only want a meaningful peace. I don't want to just like let Russia gather its footing and come back and attack in 3 to 7 years. Like as I've given away, like basically let America come in for 5 years, take all the minerals out, and then let Russia roll back in and attack again with no security guarantees. Like it's just a shitty deal. And
Yeah.
like the thing like then JD Vance is like, "Oh, have you even said thank you once? Have you said thank you?" And like Zelensky has said thank you to the American people so many times. And this is like the thing. Like because this tells you about how Donald Trump and how by extension JD Vance sees America. Okay? Because he doesn't see America as like the people or the nation. He sees it as the leader. It is like the property of the leader. So like when what happens in America, like respect for America isn't about what another country thinks of America. It's what they think of the leader. What do they think of Biden? What do they think of Obama? What do they think of Trump? And when you're saying like, "Oh, thank you to the American people" in a joint session of Congress, for example,
You're not thanking him personally.
like
Yeah.
Zelensky did in 2023, or like so many other times where he's like on camera thanking the United States. Like every year he does his State of the Union, um, like around New Year's, and he always thanks the United States and like the European
Mhm.
partners, and like he said thank you so many times, but to America, not to Donald Trump. Right? And that's exactly what they're talking about. Why haven't you kissed my ring? We don't give a fuck about anything you've done, deals you made with the country. You didn't make the deal with me. We don't give a fuck about like you saying thank you to the country. You didn't thank me.
Um. Yeah. And and new news today because he's really trying to pressure Zelensky to give him everything he wants and start kissing his ass and sign away all of his mineral rights. He announced today that he's planning on revoking temporary legal status for about 240,000 Ukrainians who fled Russia and came here to the United States to boost his deportation numbers. He
I
said
heard that.
the revocation is expected as soon as April and could set up the Ukrainians for deportation.
Yeah, I heard about that and I'm worried about it.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I mean, like this is another thing where it's like people when he was talking about deportation, he was like, "Oh, we're gonna take all of the criminals." You know where there's a lot of criminals? There's like a place in Brighton Beach, New Jersey, where I think it's New Jersey, somewhere thereabouts, where there's like known to be like a whole bunch of Russian mafia who are not citizens. Well, they didn't go in there with ICE and deport any of those guys.
No.
Like they're not just coming for the criminals, they're coming for the enemies. The criminals was just how they sell it to you because criminal sounds more palatable.
Yeah.
Really, they're coming for everyone who's poisoning the blood. Who's poisoning the blood? Everyone who isn't them. If you're
Yeah.
not white and rich, or rich and willing to bend over and kiss the ring, you're on the list. They're coming for you.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And they do seem to be in a fucking hurry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put that.
Well, it's not just the Ukrainians. He signed the executive order on January 20th, saying the Department of Homeland Security had to terminate all categorical parole programs, which would also revoke temporary legal status from people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela.
Hmm.
Along with that, so be 530,000 Cubans, 77,000 Afghans, Afghans,
Hmm.
Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans, and the
Oh
200.
my God, 77,000 Afghans?
Yep.
You know who probably a lot of those people are?
We know who all of them are. They're like the translators. They're the
They're the
people who
fucking
helped us.
translators.
They're the
Yes,
people who
they're
helped
the
us. Yeah, they're the
not
people who
enough that
helped
we
our troops.
left like 100,000 of them or 80,000 of them
Yep.
behind
Yep.
to get killed by the Taliban. Now we're gonna take the ones who
And
made it over here and we're gonna ship them out.
yep,
Yeah, so that's
77,000.
what you get if you make a deal with the United States. You're gonna
Yeah.
get fucked.
Yep. And the only way to keep yourself safe is don't give up nukes. Get a nuke, make nukes. The only thing that'll keep you safe.
Which is why, tell us about Ursula, what's her name, in the European Union?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, luckily, Europe is fast tracking getting their shit together because they realize that Trump is on the side of Russia. It's something that people have been talking about, and yes, they agree. Here he goes. Says they said a watershed moment. EU leaders agree on the plan for huge rise in defense spending. That's an article in the Guardian. All the leaders endorsed her proposal, as French president called Vladimir Putin an imperialist who seeks to rewrite history. So they are the 26 EU leaders, right? All firmly supported the statement, right? They all said, A, there can be no negotiations on Ukraine without Ukraine, right? And
World's most obvious statement.
yes, I know. Well, so the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who presented leaders an 800 billion euro plan to increase European defense spending. So yeah, they want the next few years to start spending what the United States spends on defense, because they need to ramp up and they need to rearm Europe. Because if you don't, well, they need to, because you got Russia on one side and you have the U.S. helping Russia, or
On
at
the other
least
side.
looking the other way. So, um,
Yeah, and this like feeds into what you were telling me before about how it's like also bad for the economy. So like
oh yeah,
the United States
NATO,
being in
NATO,
NATO, right? Like so NATO has this thing where everything has to be interoperable. So like the parts for
yeah,
the military vehicles, the ammunition for the guns, and the the artillery rounds and the tanks and the missiles for the planes, like
mhm,
all the mechanics have to know how to fix all of the US equipment. So they have to buy US equipment, which comes out to like $220 billion a year
yeah,
in buying American weapons
yeah,
to NATO member countries. Well, if the United States leaves NATO, that's no longer going to be the case. If they can't rely on America to be an ally, they're not going to rely on America to be a weapons supplier either. So
yeah.
they're going to have to like stop buying shit from America and build it themselves. And
And
like
know who
you're
they can buy it
that's a
from.
bell that you can't unring.
And by the way, do you know whose defense industry has really, really taken off? It's been increasing like 30 times over each year, year over year.
Israel?
Ukraine. Ukraine.
Really?
Yes. Their defense industry has been, I mean, they have to, obviously, they're at
It makes
war,
sense.
but they've been ramping up, ramping up, ramping up. And that would be a really good thing for Europe. They could help fund and help Ukraine. Ukraine has been making weapons like far and away, faster and ramping up faster than anybody else in Europe. And yeah, it'd be good for all involved. They could have a really, and remember, Russia has, I think they said Russia has about 600,000 troops, something like that, 600,000 troops, like in Ukraine, right? Roughly. Who knows exactly how many it is? It could be like 400, 500, but it's estimated about 600, they said.
I've
And
estimated they've killed 700,000.
yeah, Ukraine is estimated to have about 300 to 400,000, right? Nobody else in Europe even comes close. Not even remotely close in
Yeah,
troops.
like um United Kingdom, I think, has 138,000
Yeah.
troops in their Air Force, ground troops, Navy, like the entire thing. Like that's not like combatants. That's like,
Yeah.
the full
The whole military.
military, the
Yes.
mechanics, the cooks, everybody all in, 138,000 people. Because
Yeah.
like Ukraine's military is over 1 million people. It's like I think it's like 1.5 million or 2 million people if you count
Hmm.
everybody, but it's like 300 to 400,000 is troops, is like
Yeah.
dudes holding guns.
Yeah. Yeah. Germany has 183,000. You know, I mean, yeah. So I mean, collectively, obviously, they have some strength. You know, I mean, there's a lot of strength there,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, they need to really ramp up. They're going to start spending the levels that United States spends, and a lot of that money is planning to go into Ukraine. They have big plans, along with the 800 billion. They have plans to be able to. Because here's the other thing: the United States, they estimated we've given about $100 billion. Ignore what Donald Trump says about 350. We've given about $100 billion, right?
Yeah.
And not all of it is weapons, right? When it comes to weapons, actual weapons, we've given about $67 billion worth of weapons a year, right?
But
And
really
that's over a
we gave
3 year
them
period.
old weapons and then we
Yes.
bought
Oh,
we bought
yes.
new
It's
shit for
our
ourselves.
garage sale. Is our garage sale clean out? Is our clean out the closet? But we've given about $67 billion worth of replacement costs of weapons over 3 years. Everybody acts like if we cut off Ukraine, they're screwed. They're not necessarily screwed. Europe could make up $20 billion worth of equipment. It's all about the will to do it. You know what I mean? And how fast can they ramp up? And how can they
How,
source the stuff?
well,
How can
it's
they
a yes,
fit the
because like
stuff?
they
They can.
don't they literally cannot make enough bullets or
Exactly.
artillery shells. Like their current
Yeah.
ability, all of Europe, to make
Yes.
artillery shells and bullets is not insufficient to just to supply Ukraine at the levels they need to continue the war right now.
Correct. But they could buy it. They could buy the artillery shells, and so it's unclear yet whether or not they will be able to purchase the artillery shells from the United States
But I
and then
mean, to
give
your
it to
point
them.
about Russia not doing good, like you
Yeah.
know what I heard the other day, my wife was telling me that like Russia's using mules.
Yes, they're using horses, mules, donkeys. Yes,
Yeah,
they.
and like the reports are coming in from the drone operators because the
Yes.
drone operators are like, for the first time in the whole conflict, I feel guilty blowing shit up because they're killing the horses and the mules to stop them
Yes.
from using them to transport, weapons and ammo
Yeah.
and food
Yeah.
and probably diesel, whatever else. But like, yeah, like that's where Russia's at. Russia is at the, I guess we're gonna send in the fucking horses.
Yep.
So Russia not doing great.
No, which is also why it's said. I saw an article that China is in talks to send their military in also to help Russia against them. Um,
What would be in it for China?
Training against a Western trained military because they want to go into Taiwan.
Okay, but
The
wouldn't
same
it be
reason why
easier to
North
just
Korea, the
wouldn't it
sole,
be easier to just go into Taiwan and be like, oh, is Donald Trump gonna like go to war with China over Taiwan? Probably not. Probably not. Like, wouldn't that just be easier?
uh, maybe, but
Because like I don't see it. I don't see Donald Trump being like, oh, we have to honor the treaty that someone else made a fucking long time ago with Taiwan.
well, here's the weird thing about this, and here's another thing that's weird, and we didn't talk. We didn't say we're going to talk about this, but it also just doesn't make any sense, even from a America First point of view, right? One of the things he talked about in that address was getting rid of the chips. You know, the Chips and Science Act. You know,
Yes.
didn't make
What
any
the
sense
fuck?
at all because I mean, the whole point of that is getting stop relying on imports for semiconductors and chips, right? All these
Mm-hmm.
and processing chips, and we import like everything, all of them from Taiwan, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense to cancel that or scrap that because that whole thing is an investment in making them ourselves, which would be America first, right? America, go America. Doesn't make any sense except for the fact that China is not happy with it because China, you know, once they start giving chips. And if they took over Taiwan, they'd be in a really good spot around the world.
Like, what if we're just like super underestimating the level of treachery of Donald Trump? Like,
I'm not.
Donald Trump was saying before the election, like months before the election, he was at like a conference with like a bunch of Christian groups, I think, and he was like, I'll find the video and link it, but like he was saying like literally these words, like he was saying, um, look, go out there and vote. You got to go out there and vote, but just this one time,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Because after this, we're gonna rig it. We're gonna fix it, and you won't have to vote anymore after
He
this.
didn't say
But
we're
this
going to
one
rig
time,
it. He just said one time. That's all you'll have to do, and we'll fix it so good you won't ever have to vote again.
yes,
Yeah.
we'll fix it so good you won't ever have to vote again. Okay, and so
Yeah.
the assumption was that they were going to do something that like keeps him in power. It's like a voter disenfranchisement. They're going to rig it. You know, they're going to like take over Dominion. They're going to let Russia hack it. Whatever the fuck it is, right? But that was the assumption, right? But if they're to the extent that they're dismantling this country, what if the actual plan is to like sell America for like I don't know $500 billion to Russia or China or like a splitsies to both, and be like, you know, Trump just like goes off and fucks off to wherever and is rich and like sells the United States to them, and that's why we're not voting, because he just sold the whole fucking country. He's just like, yeah, I'll just dismantle the military, take off the cyber comms, put in puppets everywhere, get rid of the FBI, take out all the social services. It'll be fucking chaos, and you can just sweep in, pay me with, you know, crypto fuckboy coins, and then take the country.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've you say that, you know, what if we've been underestimating him? I mean, I've been thinking he was a totally wholly owned subsidiary of Vladimir Putin the whole time. So that's not shocking to me. I don't see how he could. I don't see how he could act any more in Russia's interest if he was like Boris on Rocky and Bullwinkle. You know what I mean?
Like the Kremlin's literally
He
publishing
is so
newspapers where the front
obvious.
page says like the U.S. foreign policy aligns with our
Well,
vision completely.
yeah, it's he is. I can't believe it's not obvious. I that's all I can say. I mean, it's so obvious that if it were anything else, it would. I would be shocked. I mean, I think he's stupid, but I find it hard to believe somebody's that stupid. I think it's easier to believe that he's bought.
It's 69th or it's 40 it's 45th dimensional chess, James. Because he's the 45th president.
Yeah.
So it's 45 degree dimensional chess. That's what it is.
Yeah, sorry, dead air. We shouldn't have dead air on here.
No, it's fine. We can actually just like remove dead air. There's like
that's
a one button dead air, go bye bye.
Yeah.
But okay, let's just come back to like some, you know, fun with. All right, hold on. I'm getting this just in. Let's see. Russian propagandists are still saying the USA is an enemy, and they discuss should they send a rocket to Paris or Washington. So yeah, I mean this is a common thing in like Russian propaganda state media where they're talking about like they talk about nuking Europe and nuking the United States all the time. Like
Yeah,
I saw something with like a call-in show where they were like, "Call in and tell us what do you think, random Russian citizens? Should we nuke Washington or California? Like should we nuke Paris or should we nuke Germany? Like where should we nuke first?" Like, you know, that's them having fun. And these are the same fuckers who go to a post about like a missile hitting an apartment building and killing like a bunch of children and women and like families, just pure civilians, and they'll put fucking like laughing emojis and heart emojis on it because they're fucking monsters. Like you couldn't kill them in so disgusting a way that it wouldn't be a net positive. Okay, but to come back to domestic issues. Okay. Uh related, you know, these kind of it all goes together, right? So like these two go together. Department of Education closing and Indiana changing the
that off
child
for a
labor
month.
laws.
He put that off for a month. The Department of Education thing.
No, but Linda McMahon was like saying how, former wife of the head of the
Yeah.
WWE, Linda McMahon, now Department of Education secretary, uh, which just sentences I never thought I'd say. Just wow. Um, Idiocracy is too real. Idiocracy wasn't fucking dumb enough for reality, but it's a whole other thing. But no, she was saying how they're winding it down. They're closing offices, they're laying people off, they're firing people, they're getting ready to close it. So like, if you like things like Pell Grants or student loans that are kept at a lower rate by the government at like 7%. So you can pay 7% on your $200,000 education instead of 27% like a credit card loan, or 22% like a personal loan, or 15% like a personal loan. The high student loans are like 8%. The rest of them are like 2 to 3%, even if you don't have credit because you're a kid. So if they think that's a good thing, or Pell Grants, which are like grants, like the government just like give you money because you're poor. So, you make 50, your parents make less than 60K a year combined. Like, yeah, we're just gonna give you money to make your education possible, to like help people climb the social ladder, like get an education or make something of themselves. Like, that's what we want. We want people to like live the American dream, like grow up, learn something, contribute to the economy, build something. That's what we want. So we fund it. Except no, we're not. That's the Department of Education, and it's DEI, and they're telling us to letting the kids read Toni Morissette, and they're telling them that like slavery was real bad, and that the founding fathers owned slaves, and like, oh, we were murdering those Indians real shitty. Like, oh, we can't have these narratives about America and the shit that we pulled, and like understanding like critical thinking and the truth. So we're gonna call it DEI, and we're gonna defund it. You know what else they fund? They fund um, every special needs program in every state takes money from the Department of Education.
Yep.
So all the kids who really need help,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're just gonna. Oh, I guess the states will take care of it if they can. But you know what the states can't do? They fucking can't take care of it, because states can't take care of everything. They don't have the money.
Yep.
Like, the federal government like takes in a whole bunch of money from California, and then it says, oh, we're going to set aside this much to like educate everyone, because everyone needs to be educated. Having an educated population benefits the workforce, it reduces crime everywhere, it's good for the country, it allows us to have innovation and progress and extra productivity. So we're going to invest in it, because like we're investing in ourselves, we're investing in our future. But now they're calling it DEI, and they're getting rid of it. They're going to put it back to stage. They're going to push these fucking voucher programs, which are just a way of saying like, instead of the federal government paying, so that the local high school near you, or the local school system near you, gives you an education where you can go from K through 12 for free and just get a full education. Okay, we're going to give you a voucher for $500 a year, and then you can choose who gets that $500 a year voucher from like a list of the public schools or the private schools. And of course, the private schools are going to cost you way more, and the $500 voucher isn't even enough to cover your end of like the public school. But LOL, go fuck yourself. We got rid of the Department of Education because it's a war on poor people.
Yeah. I mean, Republicans have been at war with poor people for decades. That's nothing new. The only thing that's new is how far and how fast and how obvious they are being at doing it. What's amazing to me is how so many of them still are drinking the Kool-Aid while they are being fucked.
It's like Stockholm syndrome, man. Like,
Yeah.
like at what point, you know what I mean? Like, you see the people who are like, I voted for Trump, and now that like there's like some personal harm has come to me, now I'm dissatisfied. It's like the psychology of these people is such that like they were perfectly happy with anyone else being hurt by these policies. But as soon as it comes to them, now they're dissatisfied. But oftentimes they're not so dissatisfied that they're like, I regret my vote. I regret my vote. I shouldn't have voted for him. I should have listened. I should have informed myself. I should have not believed the sources I believed. I should have believed the sources I didn't believe. There is some of that. There's a lot of that. But there's also a lot of people who are just, I'll just deny reality.
Yep.
Like I already drank the Kool-Aid, so I gotta believe it's gonna work out.
Yep. Yeah, it's like all those people in Dearborn, Michigan, all the huge, Palestinian community, the Muslim community, in Dearborn, Michigan, who were voted for Trump. Big, huge swing. Went from a Democratic, it's like a plus 20 or 30 point swing, from Biden to Trump
Well,
because
there's
Genocide
Genocide
Joe.
Joe.
Yeah,
Genocide Joe.
and then he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna let them finish the job. They need to do more. We'll let them take them out. Hey, beachfront property. We're gonna take over Gaza. Blah blah blah. And they're like, well, that is, I disagree with that. That's horrible, but I still support him. I don't regret my vote.
You saw he said that he's gonna deport Palestinian protesters. He's gonna jail them and he's gonna deport them.
Yeah. Well,
He said if you're protesting in favor of Palestine on a college campus, we're gonna jail you and we're gonna
yeah.
deport you.
Yeah, he called that illegal. Remember, he said we want to stop illegal protests. What is an
Illegal
illegal protest?
protests.
What is an illegal
That would be the actual
protest?
freedom of speech is that you
Yeah.
can go and
He restored
protest.
that. He restored freedom of speech right before they, had the Sergeant of Arms arrest
Remember,
Al Green for saying that he does not have a mandate to cut Medicare.
yeah,
Or Medi-
they didn't do anything to Marjorie Taylor Greene when she screamed
no,
about
of
how Joe
course
Biden
not.
was a
And
liar.
Her and Lauren Boebert screaming like, yeah,
But
no,
like, who could be surprised? Like, this is the guy who, in his last presidency, used tear gas to clear protesters from in front of a church where he had scheduled to have a fucking photo op,
hold a Bible up upside down.
so he could hold a Bible upside down like a fucking moron.
Free speech, yeah, and
Free
and
speech.
and they also told everybody that they're not allowed to. Federal employees are no longer allowed to read any news at work. They're not allowed to.
Really?
Yep. No. They're no longer allowed to look at the news.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
Yeah, so like, I don't know. We're not there's no way to get to everything because
it's just a shotgun approach to
because
dismantling everything at once.
it
So
just
much spread around, so much
okay.
can't focus on everything.
So let me get into this last thing. So Saturday I went to a protest. So it was a protest, had probably about 4,000 people in downtown Chicago. And Senator Durbin, Congressman Mike Quigley, um, Congresswoman, I think Delia Ramirez. I apologize if I'm getting that name wrong. Um, but I'm trying to think if there's anybody else there. So the three of them were there. Okay. And my wife made a bunch of the posters, and she actually made the banner for the social media campaign. She's been a part of the fundraising and protesting thing since the start of the Ukraine war, and actually we met at one of her fundraisers, and so I've done a lot of protesting. But so we went to this protest this past Sunday, and she asked me like, what do you want your poster to say? And I thought about it. And if you listen to last week's episode, you listen to this week's episode, I'm fucking pissed and I just want to like torture them all to death because they're evil.
Not that he's
So
advocating for that.
so I pared down my anger and I said, I want my poster to say, um, only filth supports Putin, only traitors support Trump. And she was like, well, the senator's coming early. We don't know if like all the people are going to be there because people usually get there like 20 to 30 minutes after what we say the time is, but the senator's going to be there early, so the press is going to be there early, so we have to be on brand. So I made you a less angry thing. So I had one that said Trump equals a puppet, and it had like two political cartoons, and one of them was like um was like Putin had his hand up inside of a Trump puppet, and the Trump puppet was saying, "Your fingers are so big," as Putin is fisting him. And then the other one was, actually I can't remember the other one, but it was some similar idea about how Putin is like the real president of the United States. Um, and so like that was my poster, right? Trump equals puppet with these two pictures. And as we're getting ready for the protest, like the news cameras, like ABC, NBC, CBS was there, Indivisible Chicago was there.
Good.
Um, yeah, she's like, go stand on the stairs because like that's where the speech is going to be on the stairs. She's like, show the poster, make sure it's visible. So I'm standing there and I put myself right next to where. So I was literally standing right next to Dick Durbin, and then Mike Quigley was right behind him. So
Nice.
like as they're giving their speeches, I was like sitting there, I'm like holding my sign, and like we're all packed in there. Everyone's got a sign. Everyone's trying to like to be seen. There's a bunch of us up on the stairs, and like we're all like contributing our signs, and I'm like I have to choose, right? Like do I hold my sign so that like maybe it'll be in the camera shot so it's like right next to the senator, or do I like hold it next to my face so you can see me? And I'm like I got to sacrifice my face, the sign must be in there. So I looked at the coverage, and like I didn't really love any of the coverage from what I saw of it. um they were really like under representing the number of people. Like one said 400, one said 1,000. It was easily 3,000, probably closer to four.
Some
Um,
people are saying it was the biggest protest in American history. Some people are,
exactly. So
some
people are
people are saying
telling
millions. Some
people
people
were
are saying it was
telling me it
millions.
was
It was
millions.
more like
Like
a million man march.
it was more like a billion man, a billion Ukrainian march,
Yeah.
basically. Um, we solved all the issues in this march, but no, um, it was really cool seeing the senators and the Congress people give their speeches, and like they went in order of seniority, like rank. So like Durbin was first, then Quigley, and then Delia, and like they were like reverse order of energy. Like Durbin has been a really good supporter of Ukraine for a long time, and then Tammy Duckworth, our other senator from Illinois, goes in on him with the bills. So like both of them were there. Or I'm sorry, like both of them have been big supporters, but like Durbin was good. Like his speech was pretty good, but it was like low energy. He's an older guy.
He's an
He's
old
not
guy.
like a super
He
rabble
never
rouser.
was. He never was.
Yeah. And then Quigley comes in, and Quigley starts with a joke, and he's like, "Well, I guess I'm never wearing a suit to the White House again," which was great for the crowd. And then he goes on, and he's like a little bit more angry. He's a little bit more riled up. And then Delia comes in, and she's like, you can hear how fucking pissed she is at how much bullshit this is. This disgusting, like, this administration is just like throwing away America, just bending over for our allies. Like, it's completely unacceptable. Like, she had the fire that I'm looking for. And it was like, that was the thing that I noticed. Like, the youngest people had the most energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was really cool. Like, it really humanized them to see them there. And it was cool to see like the Indivisible group. Um, and it was really it was nice to have like a really huge turnout. We had a huge turnout, like, and actually a while ago I wrote a thing that we disseminated. I think I didn't put it. I had more ideas than I actually wrote, but we disseminated what I actually wrote down. It was like a protest pamphlet, and so it was like from going to so many protests and seeing, oh, these are the things that work, and it was stuff like, like have a specific list of chants and give them to all of your people who are going to lead the chants. Have the chants be short. Have there only be this many of them. Have it be the same thing. Say the chant 3 times in a row, then say the next one. Use a QR code so people know where to donate and where to get more information. But it was like, like use this way of like, of arranging people, have people to arrange people, have people to facilitate, how we're going to march, tell people what the agenda is for the program, for the whole thing. So they did all those things, and
Mm-hmm.
I was so like pleased. I was like, man, they really crushed it this time. And Katya's like, yeah, I gave him the protest pamphlet. I was like, I had totally forgotten about it.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was like, you know, the stuff that you do, the stuff that you do has an impact and it matters. And I got to tell you, like, I was feeling real bad. I saw the thing on, we had our episode Thursday. I saw the stuff with Zelensky on Friday, and I just had like,
Was it the week before last when I talked about Indivisible, like reaching out to Indivisible and stuff like that?
yeah, it was a week before last. It was the Lost episode 7, I think.
Ah, the last episode.
The
Okay.
last episode. We'll retalk.
Talk
We'll
about that.
retalk more about Indivisible. And actually, Indivisible has a Tesla protest this
Yeah.
Saturday that I think I'm going to go to.
I said, man, on the missing week, I was at the end when we were talking about what to do. It's like Indivisible. People have forgotten about Indivisible. It was so huge. It was so impactful in 2016.
hmm
So
So I called all of them. Also, I called the White House. The White House only accepts calls Tuesday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. because they're on fucking Trump's golf hours, apparently. Like the voicemail doesn't even take voicemails except like, this tiny sliver of time on a few days. And then I called Durban. Durban's like, call back during work hours, and like a staff will answer. They don't let you leave a voicemail. Same thing with Tammy Duckworth. Doesn't let you leave a voicemail. Then I called Mike Quigley, and Mike Quigley's office lets you leave a voicemail. And I'm like, all right, bro, I'm gonna call you guys every day. And actually, I failed. I still need to get back to it and actually call them every day. I keep being busy with work and forgetting to do it until it's like too late in the day. But you got to call. You got to call like, I don't know, like 9 to 5, but like Eastern time, because like some of them um, are going off of like the Washington, like the DC office time. I think Duckworth goes off of the other one. But anyways, so did you call yours? How did it go with you?
I did not. I have not. And yeah, I'm a bad person. I have not
Okay,
called.
you're not a bad person. You're just busy. But can you commit
I'm
that you'll
busy.
call one this week?
Yes.
Okay, I want to hear about it next week. Okay, so we're gonna save fun ways to die for next week, which will give you some time to contribute some ideas because you didn't pitch in any.
I
Um,
have one fun way to die, but if the Secret Service hears it, I'll be in trouble. So.
no, these are ways that we'll all die. Like the one I didn't put on the list that I'll give you for free right now is that the meteor that has a 3% chance of hitting the Earth
Yeah.
will hit the Earth and will, although that one it's not big enough to be a planet killer. It would just like wreck a town or cause a tsunami or something. It wouldn't yeah, it wouldn't wipe out the planet, but it would ruin a small town. Um, okay, yeah, we didn't get to everything, but it seems less and less doable. We got into a lot.
You can't do it. You can't do everything on a weekly thing. You have a small shot of getting to everything if you did it daily. But we
Yeah,
don't have the time for that.
we don't get the time for that. We got other jobs. Not yet. Maybe if we get to like the Joe Rogan level, we can
Oh God,
go more.
Joe Rogan.
Maybe if we get to the Mr. Beast level. Maybe if we get to the Bulwark level.
Yeah, Forward.
There we go.
I like them guys
I like those guys.
and the Republicans.
Okay,
Like
give me
these.
your closing thoughts, and then give me your what could go right.
What can go right? J.B. Pritzker could be the next president.
That'd be all right. That'd be cool.
That'd be good. That'd be right. Let's see what else could go right. It looks like Zelensky is willing to sign this deal anyway. He left early, and he wouldn't do it because they were being such pricks. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it looks like Zelensky. It's not good, but what could go right? You know, signs a deal. Yeah, it sucks. It's $500 billion, but if they survive as a country, $500 billion in minerals, they'll still have a big country. They can still get through it, and they'll have their defense industry and everything else. Maybe you never know, man. You never know. I think he's a puppet. I think Putin's hand is up his ass, Trump's ass. But you never know. It's possible. They signed the deal, and it looks like some big win for Trump. He can look like a tough guy, and they unpause the military aid that's already been appropriated by Congress because they're going to have to give it out anyway, or defy the courts again.
They can
So
justify the courts.
yeah, but I mean, maybe might could go right. Okay, maybe they sign that. They keep getting their weapons. Oh, that's what could go right. That's not much.
My what could go right is Europe could sign a deal with Ukraine um, that negotiates a ceasefire with security guarantees by Europe and cuts out the United States out of any mineral deal and out of any security deal and out of the deal completely.
Well, Zelensky already said he's going to sign this deal. He'd sign it. So
He didn't say he'd sign it. He said he's ready to work with the leadership of the president. But here's the thing: I don't
no, he
think that
did.
Zelensky is willing to sign any deal that doesn't come with security guarantees, and I don't think that he should.
No, he actually did say he's going to sign it. Um, yeah, he said he will sign it. Where's it at? Here, I mean, he said he would sign it. Zelensky to sign mineral deal, whatever. Yeah. After they left the White House, He said he is ready to sign the stalled minerals deal with the United States. So he said he's ready to sign it. So he said he's grateful to Trump and Congress for bipartisan support for Ukraine throughout the 3-year invasion, acknowledging tough dialogue in his Friday meeting with Trump and Vance. He said he is ready to sign the minerals deal, which they did not sign after their meeting Friday, but he said the deal is not enough, stating a ceasefire without security guarantee is dangerous for Ukraine. But he said, I want the U.S. to stand more firmly on our side. It sounds like he's going to sign it with
That's what I'm saying.
fingers
Like,
crossed
he's
that
willing
he
to
hopes.
sign it if there are security guarantees.
No,
He's
he's
not
willing to
willing to sign it without it.
He is willing to sign it. Since the meeting, it sounds like he is willing to sign it, and he's being encouraged by like Starmer and everybody else in Europe to say, dude, just sign it. Try to get him on your side. Try to get him, sounds like he's going to sign it
You
in
can always
hopes.
pull a Putin and like not honor the deal later.
That's true. Actually, that would be the best thing for him to do.
Maybe like the next, maybe
It
like
would be a good
Trump
move.
just like eats so much shit like a Democrat wins the next election, and like we still have elections, and then the Democrat can just undo Trump's deal, be like, yeah, Ukraine can keep their fucking minerals because we're not monsters. We'll just invest in the company and we'll take some, but we're not going to steal all their fucking minerals. It's like, imagine if we told Europe like, oh yeah, we'll help you in World War II, but
Yeah.
you have to give us all your shit, like half the wealth of all your nations forever.
Yeah, that was the original deal. Give us half of everything forever. Any other third-party countries who come in or any other thing, they have to give us half of everything.
Like, it is the most shit deal.
God.
Like, that's how they rebuild, is that money. They're gonna need all of it.
Yeah. Anyway, hopefully
All right.
something's good happens this week.
Hopefully
There was
something
one good thing. Hey, I can do this. You know what? Trump did one thing since he's been president that I actually liked.
Oh, there was something I agreed with. I can't remember what it is though. What's yours?
They got rid of their long-awaited ban on menthol cigarettes. I can keep smoking my menthol cigarettes. There we go.
When were they banned?
No, Biden had it. And they were pushing it. They were going to ban menthol cigarettes, and then they delayed it again. Because the election was coming up, and so they delayed it by a year or two. They put on pause because it wouldn't look good in the election.
You're so Stockholm syndromed, man. Like, he was trying to force a few more years of healthy life on you.
Yeah, I would have just smoked something else, but so I prefer my menthol cigarettes. It's not Stockholm syndrome, man. It's like drugs and alcohol, man. None of them are good for you. People like doing them. There's a reason.
It's how dopamine works. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good night, and good luck, everybody.
Good night and good luck.
For another week, we still have a country.
Hopefully.